Every year, over 2,000 Australian women experience a stillbirth. I am one of these women. This group of women really deserve our help. They definitely need the psychological and physical benefits of exercise, yet we don't see them. They don't feel comfortable coming to our facilities or joining in our group training classes. And I dare to suggest they're not on our radar. For me, this began as a personal journey, but now it's about making change. In 2009, I'd moved on from phys ed teaching and I was loving my work as a personal trainer, group exercise and Pilates instructor. I loved exercising. I vividly remember I got my first inkling I might be pregnant during a triathlon training session where I had to stop running because my boobs were too sore to keep going. The confirmation of my pregnancy came as such delightful news to myself and my husband. I was 30, fit, strong, very healthy, and very ready to embark on this next stage of my life. My morning, or should I say all-day sickness, was unrelenting. I had to pull back on my training sessions, have paper bags at the ready. I was very pregnant. All my clients, my friends, my family, colleagues, and even my local barista shared my journey with enthusiasm. I was looking forward to walking my pram in the spring, breastfeeding, and working out with other new mums and bubs. I was very ready for motherhood. After a few months, my morning sickness subsided, but my abdominals started to separate. My back, my pelvis started to hurt, and my sciatica was really starting to bother me. I had the full pregnancy experience. As my due date approached, I was going through the usual mix of emotions. Nervousness about delivery and labour, contrasted by my excitement and delight. It wouldn't be long now until I met my beautiful, precious baby. I was aching to meet my child. Hear their first cry, look into their eyes, and feel their tiny fingers wrap around mine. It was an overcast Wednesday morning, 2 days past my due date, where I went in with my mum to my routine obstetrics monitoring. Now, I'd heard that the slowing down of babies' movements is normal at this late stage. And I remember afterwards, my husband had told me that he had seen an incredible rainbow on his car on the way to work that morning, and he had taken that as a sign I was expecting a call from me later that day. But just before the midwives placed the heart rate monitors onto my belly, the heavens opened up. Rain pelted against the window. And it was after a few moments I heard muffled, incomprehensible words, and it was as if they were being spoken to me underwater. "I'm so sorry, Lauren. I cannot find your baby's heartbeat." Immediately the curtains were pulled, isolating me from the other women in the room, and the rest is a heartbreaking blur. I soon found myself in a single room with my mum, my obstetrician, and a sonographer. And it was confirmed to me then and there that my baby had died. Statistically, I was one of 6 women who heard these same words on that day. 6 babies are stillborn in Australia every single day. That's 1 in 135 pregnancies, and many like me, without explanation. Yes, well over 2,000 women go through pregnancy that end with shattered dreams instead of a beautiful baby. These women experience the same physical and hormonal changes relating to pregnancy and delivery. And many of them have the same postnatal considerations relating to getting back into shape, yet they have no baby. They need our help and our support, but where can they go? Regular group training classes and personal training sessions don't cater for their postnatal considerations. And the last thing they want to be doing is going to a new mums and bubs class. Where can they go? What can we do to help support this group of women in a safe and comfortable environment? Postnatal exercise following pregnancy loss is a very real and relevant issue for our industry. Yet I believe it's rarely talked about, considered, or given the attention it deserves. Maybe this is due to lack of awareness and understanding, or maybe it's just too uncomfortable. I first became aware of stillbirth 2 years before I experienced my own. Close family friends of mine lost their baby girl at 40 weeks and 4 days gestation. I had no idea what stillbirth was, let alone think it could happen in today's world, certainly not in Australia. I remember thinking, something must have gone wrong. Maybe they left her too long overdue, or maybe she ate something she shouldn't have, and so on. I had no idea what to say to them. I vividly remember at the funeral the overwhelming sense of sadness to see the parents, my friends, carrying such a tiny pink coffin. I never thought that could be me just 2 years later. Despite enormous medical and technological advances, the statistic of over 2,000 stillbirths in Australia every year has remained unchanged for the past 2 decades. Yet I believe as fitness professionals, we rarely see these women. Is it due to lack of awareness and understanding? Or is it too painful and uncomfortable? Whether it be the mothers who are too devastated, or the trainers who don't know what to say. Or are they coming to us, but just not telling us about their experience for fear of judgment or not wanting to make others feel uncomfortable with their story? The fitness industry has progressed in leaps and bounds with renewed awareness or improved awareness around women's tricky issues, such as incontinence, pelvic floor function, and sexuality. It's time we start the dialogue about this important issue too, so that as an industry, we can open our doors to create a safe and comfortable space for this group of women. Stillbirth is when a baby dies, and it can occur from 20 weeks all the way up to and including birth. The mother goes through the birth process. The baby's birth and death are recorded. The parents have a chance to spend time with their baby following the birth. This loss is overwhelming and indescribable. Late-term miscarriage is the loss of a baby from 12 to 20 weeks gestation. Late-term miscarriage is legally different to stillbirth. The numbers of late-term miscarriage are not as high as in early miscarriage. This loss is also devastating. Early miscarriage is the natural termination of a pregnancy, and it can occur anywhere from conception to 12 weeks gestation. Early miscarriages are known to occur in around a quarter of all known pregnancies, and exactly 2 years to the day after I experienced my stillbirth, I too experienced an early miscarriage. While some women can be philosophical about loss in the first trimester, and grief is subjective, for me, my early miscarriage was incredibly hurtful. With late-term miscarriage and stillbirth, women still have to go through the pregnancy and delivery. In some cases, like me, this is through vaginal birth, or in other cases, this is through caesarean section. Thus, the women still have the same physical consequences relating to pregnancy and delivery. But aside from these physical consequences, it's important to remember that every loss is much more than a statistic. Every loss is significant and deserves sensitivity. I gave birth to a baby boy, Alexander. He was a healthy weight. He was perfectly formed. He had 10 fingers and 10 toes. He was stillborn without explanation. My body had changed just as everybody has at this late stage of pregnancy, but I felt like it had failed me. My strong, fit, and healthy body had let me down. I had no baby, yet I was left with considerable abdominal separation, lower back issues, pelvic soreness, and a lot of excess body fat. I had no knowledge of or connection with a women's health physiotherapist, and I certainly didn't have the energy to put together my own postnatal program. Overwhelmed with grief, I just wanted to turn my back on myself. When I finally felt emotionally and physically ready to return to exercise, ironically, I didn't know where to go. My postnatal body couldn't handle group exercise classes or personal training sessions. And the last thing I wanted to be doing was going to a new mums and bubs class. So I started with yoga and meditation. It suited my body and eased my emotions, and there were no babies. I was feeling that exercise was really good medicine and thinking it was the answer to all my problems. So I quickly increased my intensity to increased my workouts to more intense levels. But without the right support and guidance, I ended up doing further damage. So what I needed was a place to train without babies, with a qualified postnatal trainer who I felt that I could speak to open and freely. What I wanted was a space to train where I could feel comfortable in my body and exercise with other women, ideally who had experienced pregnancy loss, who I felt that could empathise with my situation without judgment. What I didn't need was to feel judged or hear whispering behind my back. I didn't want to be told that just because I was a Pilates instructor, I'd know what to do with my physical postnatal body, or I was a personal trainer, so I'd be able to bounce back into shape. Well-meaning comments such as, "You're young, you can have more children," or "Everything happens for a reason," "It was meant to be," these sorts of comments weren't helpful at all. As my sense of self grew, a small seed was sown, and gradually it's grown into a crystal clear vision of mine. From my experience, I plan to make a difference, to create a safe and comfortable environment for women to meet, talk, and train with qualified postnatal specialists. This is in its early days, but I'm happy to say that I'm well on my way to help this special group of women. So what can we do together as an entire industry? How can we implement this awareness into our existing programs and facilities? How can we show sensitivity, and how can we cater sensitively and professionally for this group of women so that they can reap the psychological and physical benefits of exercise in a safe and comfortable environment? First, we need to open the door for conversation, awareness and understanding. And this can begin before we even meet our clients. Commonly, our PARQ and pre-screening forms don't cater for women who have experienced pregnancy loss. They usually say something along the lines of, are you currently pregnant? Or have you recently had a baby? You can imagine for someone who has experienced stillbirth, this question is really confronting. It's uncomfortable. Just met the trainer for the first time? It's too raw, it's too sad. Instead, let's reframe our approach. Questions such as, how many pregnancies have you had? When was the last time you were pregnant? And did it go to term? Start to open the door for conversation in a more sensitive and less triggering way. And this simple change of language allows acknowledgement, which is so important for women who have experienced loss. Women generally want to and need to talk. Feeling safe and free to share our experiences is incredibly important and powerful. Women love generally to talk about their baby, their pregnancy and their delivery. For women who have experienced pregnancy loss, this is equally so. Being able to feel free to share and articulate our feelings about our baby in a warm and judgmental environment can be helpful in so many ways. When women do open up, always acknowledge their experience and their baby. Say you're sorry for their loss. Ask about their baby. Ask the gender, the baby's name, how the pregnancy was, the delivery, how long ago the loss was. These are the sorts of questions you would ask a postnatal mum anyway when they come to see you. Your client will soon indicate to you how comfortable she is to talk about her experience and her baby. And just be sure to let her know that the door for conversation is always open. And whether you've been training your client for a week, a year or more, it's important to remember she will never, ever forget this experience. And she will think of her baby every single day. If you're stuck for words, let her know that you don't have any, but you're sorry for her loss, and that you'll be there with an ear, sensitivity, and support. Perhaps guide her to the right support organisations if you feel she needs. Down the track, you might need to work with your client and assist her on how she's going to navigate her way in communicating with other members of the classes she might join. Might need to assist her on how she's going to work with the fears and her challenges of a potential next pregnancy and prenatal classes. Supporting her through these times will allow her to feel safe, included, and empower her to keep going with her exercise regime, which will be rewarding for you both. Pregnancy loss is invisible. It's uncomfortable. It's sensitive, but it's real. We might not always know what to say. We don't know what it feels like, and we can't take pain away. But we can show awareness, understanding, and respect to these women. We can show that understanding and compassion as we guide them with appropriate programs for them to help assist them reconnect with their bodies, regain strength, recover physically, all of which will nurture the journey of healing. Awareness brings change. So let's start talking. And let's find ways to open our doors to this group of women so that they can feel safe and comfortable and can come to us to seek our assistance and guidance. Time slowly begins to heal. Women adjust to their new normal. Laughter returns. And life goes on with new gratitude for simple things. I hope that my brief time here today has inspired you to open your doors and your hearts to this special group of postnatal women. Since that rainy Wednesday in 2009, I've had 2 beautiful boys. They're my joy and my light. They know of their big brother Alexander. We talk of him often. Thank you.